He's been at Torus Games for 10 years, and the last 6 years he's been specialising in tools development for arts and animation pipelines. He's going to be speaking to us about that. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what he has to say. He's quite an industry veteran, and he's credited on some AAA products, including Carmageddon 3, Doom 2 Advance, and Duke Nukem Advance as well. So I hope you'll join me in welcoming David Biggs.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm David Biggs. I've been at Torus for around 10 years. My background is I completed a computer science degree at Monash, and then actually while I was there I was doing art for games like Doom and Quake, just in my spare time making models and levels and that sort of thing. And then originally started working at Torus in the art field, doing models for Carmageddon, and then after a couple of years we moved on to Maya. I learned Script and then the Maya API and started developing tools. So I kept seeing areas where I could speed up the workflow. Really got into the tools area. So I'll just do a little bit of a rundown about Torus first. There are a few of the titles we've done over the years. The company's been around about 15 years, since 1994, with just 3 staff, which was the CEO, Bill McIntosh, and a couple of others. Currently we're around 65, with 65 titles under our belt. If you include all the different SKUs of each title, we've done about 90 different titles. And yeah, we've worked with all the major publishers on just about every console there's been for the last 15 years. And yeah, we're currently an approved developer on all consoles, Wii, 360, PS3. Our recent games have been across multiple consoles. Started from Shrek Smash and Crash, was the first major one, which was PS2, PSP, GameCube, DS, and GBA. So sort of a trial by fire, thrown in the deep end on our first major cross-platform title. And then from then, Indy 500, Monster Jam, Zoo Hospital, Monster Jam Urban Assault, and then just recently we've shipped Scooby-Doo First Frights on Wii, PS2 and DS. So we're pretty experienced at shipping titles across 3, 4, 5 different consoles at a time, and that's what we specialise in now. So I think, so cross-platform development. The truth is, there's no easy solution. There's no magic bullet to say make your game run on 5 different consoles. So we just developed a lot of ways to work smarter and not harder, hopefully. We still try and only work out 35, 40-hour weeks and no overtime and weekends and that sort of thing. So where possible, we optimise our pipeline and create tools and processes to really optimise our workflows, and try and make sure that our staff have a good life outside work and are happy while they're there. When I'm developing tools along with some of the other programmers, there's a lot of things we always keep in mind. Of course, we want the development and deployment really fast. You don't want a really long time to get a tool out to team. Often it's just a quick 5-minute script. Sometimes it's a lot more involved with that. You want to get it out quickly and make sure it's as bug-free as possible. When we're working across everything from DS to 360, PS3, you want to have a common workflow for every console. You don't want people doing one pile of steps for the DS and another pile of steps for the PS2, PS3. You want to try and keep it easy all the time. So ease of use, optimise the workflow. Avoiding rework, that's when we want to try and use the same assets across multiple consoles at the same time with as minimal amount of modification of that asset as possible. And another big thing is because we're building the game for 5 different consoles at once, we want to prevent build time errors as much as possible. If you get an error on the Wii, then it's probably on the PS2 as well, and then maybe on the DS. So if you can minimise errors getting into the game as much as you can, then you'll speed up everyone's workflow. The main topics I'm going to talk about today is development and deployment of the tools, our Maya exporter and plugin, some of the level building tools we use, creating collision geometry for our levels, entity placement, which is all the monsters and mission items and that sort of thing, reducing or in some cases scaling up assets from 360 to DS and vice versa, a little bit on animation and spinning tools, and statistics collection, which sounds boring, but I think it's fun. Alright, as I said before, most of our tools are done in Maya, Mel scripts with a little bit of Python. And when we want to get some really good speed out of things, if things are a bit slow, we'll revert to the Maya API. It's a bit slower to develop for, but it's around 100 times faster to process whatever you're doing than compared to Mel script. Mel, I find I've been using Mel script for 6 years or more. I learned it really well before Python was integrated into Maya. So I can whip up a quick Mel script in no time to get things sped up. A lot of the studios have a lot of problems with where do you put your tools to get it on the network and get the tools across to everyone's machines. We just use Alien Brain, so all the tools are just kept in a separate Alien Brain repository. So everyone just goes get latest and they've got all their tools straight from Z Drive. So all my scripts just source from Z Drive/tools, and I know that it'll be there on everyone's machine. And if they don't have the latest version, it's just get latest. It's as simple as that. There's no manually copying files around or like things like that I know some studios at least used to do, if they don't anymore. Our exporter is a full custom exporter from Maya, and it does the same file format for every console, from the DS right through to the 360 PS3. It's all the same text file format that we developed in-house, which just describes all the materials and meshes and animation data. Supports all your, I'll just do a quick demo of the files. So it literally is just straight text. The materials at the top, this is just an untextured material initial shading group, but you could have your diffuse textures, your normal maps, your spec maps and everything just listed within that material. And then from there on it's just basic transforms and joints, and mesh data and vertex data. So it's all kept nice and simple as text. And the tech programmers absolutely love it as straight text, because if something goes wrong, they can just jump in, change materials on objects, even change vert positions if they really want, change the facing of polygons or any render properties on meshes, and then just rebuild their assets and they're in. They don't have to go back to an artist and say, oh, can you re-export this for me, or change this, change that. If they just want something quick and dirty, they can do it straight in the text file. It supports polys, primitives like cylinders, spheres, cubes, that sort of thing. Level of detail, instancing, smooth skinning, animating custom attributes, HLSL shaders, and more. The export supports more than our rendering tech at the moment, so you can slap our tech guys in. And a big thing that I've really tried to do a lot of in the last couple of years is a huge amount of error checking in Maya before the asset is allowed out. Because we used to have a lot of problems years ago where you'd export an asset into the game and then the game would pick up a problem saying, oh, invalid geometry, or something's wrong with this material, I can't render it, or something like that. So where possible, I check for everything I can in Maya before it'll even let the artist get out a scene file into the game. So things like things our tech doesn't support or doesn't like, things like negative scaling on objects, faces with more than 16 sides. These are just a couple of examples in here. I don't allow spaces in file names because it's just dangerous and cause problems when you're batching assets and that sort of thing. The last error there on the little shot on the right is opposite flag checked. In Maya, when you freeze transforms on an object that had negative scale, it sets this little flag called opposite, which actually inverts all the normals. So your mesh can come in and go back to front. So I just try and warn about all those sort of things as much as possible, and don't let dodgy art get into the game. And we found once all these amounts of checks into the tools, the whole build process for everyone was a lot more streamlined. With our exporter, we used to keep the geometry and the animation all in one big file, but it makes it really hard to reuse animation that way. So